welcome to Autumnwatch 2021. Now, autumn may have taken a while to arrive this year, but now there's a distinctive chill in the air and the trees are displaying those gorgeous autumnal colours, red, orange and golden yellow. And the animals are getting ready for the tougher winter months ahead. So we're going to bring a bit of warmth to your bones and your soul by giving you a bit of hope and inspiration. This year we have an overarching theme, a vision for the future, with stories of hope, optimism and beauty from around the UK. As usual, we've been watching and filming some of the fabulous wildlife of the season. We've been exploring a heathland in Devon, where a female wasp spider is setting her nest. In Northern Ireland, we meet an amazing man who's recording the sound of fungi, rare devil's fingers. We've been in Norfolk and captured the autumn spectacle of tens of thousands of knots doing their aerial display. And I've been on this very beach with a dramatic capture and ringing of some of our favourite waders. So here's a taster from our wildlife autumnal feast with a visit to a British eatery that's serving a bonanza of berries to a variety of visitors.
The bright light of a new day reveals the full splendour of autumn's berry banquet. At least 2,000 species of animal, plant and fungi are hosted by the humble hedgerow. By far, the greatest number of these guests are insects. The comma butterfly is a particular bramble lover. Perched on the fruit, they show off the white markings on the underside of their wings that give them their name. The flowers that sustain them in the summer have given way to succulent blackberries, which are an irresistible autumn lifeline. The seasonal variety is welcomed by this dinner guest, the dock bug. After a monotonous summer diet, feeding on dock seeds from which they get their name, these bugs are now turning their attention elsewhere. They are extraordinarily well adapted for the task. Their mouthparts are shaped into a tube with a sharp tip, which they use to pierce the fruit and suck out the juice from inside. After the bugs and birds have had their fill, the leftovers won't go to waste. Fallen fruit serves as the feast's finale. up the crumbs of this season's flavoursome feast.
Early autumn. The orange glow of the dawn sunshine reveals a peaceful heathland. The still air is silent, save for the quiet melodic song of a solitary robin. But tranquility belies the truth. Dawn is the cue for a covert operation to begin. Deep down in the grasses, an elaborate trap is being assembled. A female wasp spider is spinning her deadly web. She has 7 types of silk in her armoury, and each serves a different purpose. One of nature's great mimics, looking like a common wasp, may well keep her safe from predators while she lays her lethal trap. She begins by building a sturdy framework, then attaches a spiral of sticky silk. After just an hour, her hard work has paid off. Now all that's left to do is sit and wait patiently. As the day warms up, the heathland begins to hum to the tune of a handful of hardy souls who can cope with autumn temperatures. Existing at the mercy of whatever warmth lingers in the sun's rays, heath potter wasps are busy provisioning their young with juicy caterpillars. Meadow grasshoppers are engaged in a noisy courtship competition. The male produces short, sharp bursts of song. His intention is to attract a female. Once it's apparent that the appreciation is mutual, they draw ever closer to one another. But love has blinded them to the nearby danger. Suddenly, the female finds herself ensnared in mid-air. The attempt to escape alerts the spider to her catch. And in a matter of seconds, her victim, still alive, is wrapped in an inescapable living tomb. With few other insects enduring into autumn, this grasshopper will provide a hearty meal for the wasp spider. A venomous bite paralyzes her victim and breaks down its insides into a mushy meal. The male grasshopper will have to turn his attention elsewhere. As for the wasp spider, her own mate is nowhere to be seen. That's because she ate him for lunch just a few weeks ago. After all, she needs all the nutrients she can get if she's to successfully rear their young. As dusk descends, she turns her attention to crafting an exquisite egg sac. One of the largest of any spiders found in Britain, it measures around 25 millimeters across. Inside, she has laid 800 of her precious eggs, sealing them for safety inside with her silk. she won't survive autumn's first frost. But safe inside the silken cocoon, the next generation of wasp spiders will hatch and await spring, when they will emerge onto the heathland as spiderlings. Autumn is full of sounds. Birds calling, the crunch of leaf litter underfoot. But for Michael Prime, there are more otherworldly sounds to be found. Although the source is tantalisingly terrestrial.
What we've got here is capable of amplifying the electrical field of any living organism, whether that's a fungus or a plant. I've always been fascinated by plants, by biology, and also by music and sound. And over the years, the two things have gradually come together.
He uses specialised equipment that translate bioelectrical fields into sound, which he uses in musical compositions and art installations. Michael has come to the National Trust's Murlock Nature Reserve in Northern Ireland to attempt to record a fungus he finds fascinating.
I'm very, very keen to record Clathrus archeri. It's a fungus that I've only ever found once before, which was years ago in Sussex. And I didn't have my recording equipment with me at the time. So hearing that it was actually fruiting, right now, here in Murlock, I thought I've got to get up there and do it.
Clathrus archeri forms an egg-like structure, and in the autumn, it explodes with these tendril formations, which have led to it more commonly being referred to as devil fingers or octopus stinkhorn, which is a clue to another of its characteristics.
If we have a smell, wow, absolutely the smell of rotting meat there. Oh. I love that kind of alien appearance of it. It's particularly interesting for the strategy it uses to disperse its spores. It attempts to attract flies to carry the spores, and it produces the smell of rotting meat. It has these little blobs of jelly containing the spores, which the flies feed on, and they then carry them away. And there they are, actually carrying out some spore dispersal.
They might smell rather hellish, but for Michael, do their bioelectrical signals sound more heavenly?
The fluctuations in the sound that you hear are a direct mapping of those fluctuations in the bioelectrical field of the organism. The electrical field of the fungus is constantly changing in response to its environment. So there tends to be a kind of regular pulse, almost like a heartbeat. Which varies according to whether it's excited or not, if you like. And it might be excited if it encounters nutrients, if it encounters water.
Michael has managed to record the sound of this stinkhorn to add to his fungal symphony.
I like to think of what I do as being a collaboration with the organisms that I work with. Well, in the end, hopefully, it's a piece of music or a piece of art, but hopefully also it's music or art with a purpose. because plants and fungi, they don't interact with us in obvious ways like animals do. So it's easy to think of them as being inanimate, which of course is completely wrong. And so I hope that by making those life processes audible, that people can start to appreciate plants and fungi for what they are, complex living organisms.
On the West Norfolk shoreline lies a magnificent coastal wetland known as the Wash. Stretching over 10 miles wide and almost 20 miles long, it's the largest estuary in England. At this time of year especially, its intertidal mudflats and salt marshes become the perfect feeding ground for up to 500,000 water birds. The mud enthusiasts are out in force. Little ringed plover, bar-tailed godwits, shell ducks and oyster catchers join a cast of thousands. Accounting for around a quarter of this colossal crowd is one long-distant migrant, the knot. This flock has arrived from its Arctic breeding grounds 3,000 miles away in search of a mild winter refuge. Migration can see them lose around half their body weight, so they arrive hungry. To a knot, the mudflats are not just any mud. This is glorious mud, full of Knot's favourite food: invertebrates, molluscs and bivalves buried below the surface, out of sight and seemingly out of reach. But not to a knot. Sensory organs in their bill tips alert them to differences in pressure, helping them detect buried prey. Twice a day, the knot must take a break from feeding because one thing governs their working hours: the incoming tide. Thousands of feeding birds hustle and bustle to escape the flood. Flocks of knot, silver cloud clusters, rippling like the advancing waves. There's safety in these kind of numbers. A predator watched by thousands stands little chance. But when the knot return to feeding to the open mudflats, they're more exposed as individuals and risks are high. Once again, the knot's bill saves the day. Taking sight out of the equation for foraging, they can feed as the sun goes down and beyond, long after the predators have turned in for the night. Eventually, the tide calls time on this feast, and it's a cue to retreat. A flurry of feathers as tens of thousands take to the air, a synchronized swathe of silver wings. A wall of whooshing wing beats. Twisting, turning, as if the flock has a single mind. It's a spectacle which draws other crowds from afar. 10 years ago, numbers of visiting knot were declining. But last year, this coastal wetland was awash with a record number of 140,000 knot. Who knows? Perhaps this year there will be even more. A festival of feathers. With cannon netting, the process starts before dawn, when, hidden under the cover of darkness, nets are placed at strategic points along the beach. The idea is that as it gets light, the nets will be fired over the birds, aiming to capture as many of them as possible in one go. So it was an early start when I joined the Wash Wader ringing group, who've been continually monitoring shorebird species here for over 60 years. This morning, Nigel Clark is leading the ringing team.
Nigel, we've chosen a beautiful morning for it, haven't we? Look at it, it's stunning.
Being out on the marshes and on the beaches at this time of day is just wonderful, and you never know what you're going to find.
Nigel, tell me exactly what's going to happen.
We have a few birds on the beach at the moment, and we're hoping for a flock of sandling to come along and join those, which they normally do, but there's no guarantees at this point. We could be having a very early breakfast.
Don't say that.
But breakfast was going to have to wait, as it wasn't long before the birds started to arrive.
OK, so we can all see the sandling. I feel there's excitement in the air now.
Timing was going to be critical. The birds need to be in the right place, in the right numbers, at the right time.
You're all right on safety? I've got safety.
On them too.
Oh,
Yep,
where's it going?
yep. Now,
What, press?
Yeah, go.
we've got a small catch, but a valuable one, ready to run.
There's a whole group that were much closer than us that have got to the net so they can make sure that no birds are going to drown in the water. Oh, look at them. Wow.
That's looking lovely.
I got the heart rate up in the morning.
After I caught my breath, it's now my turn to help get the sanderlings out from under the netting.
Oh, look. Oh, absolutely gorgeous.
And that's one we've ringed before,
Oh,
probably
so
on this
brilliant.
beach. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
That's the data we really want.
Yes.
So we'll know how long that's been with us.
How many do you reckon we've got?
I would hope 40 or 50, which is a lovely sample. And that's a ring plover.
Is that the only ring plover we've got?
We've got a handful, and
A non-ringed plover.
a non-ringed ring plover.
Which is unfortunate because it'd be better to get ring plover.
He will be ringed later on, or she.
Waders are social birds, so we can put up to 20 in a box together.
Is this the last one?
Yep.
OK,
Okay.
there we go. Right.
Brilliant.
It helps to keep the birds calm as the team begins the ringing and measuring process. Samantha Franks is helping me to take a closer look at one of the sanderlings we've caught. Sam, before we start the ringing, I just want to take a moment to really appreciate it, because look, I've got a sanderling in the hand.
It's a juvenile. It's a young bird that was hatched this summer in Greenland, so it's probably only about 3 or 4 months old.
And you've already thrown all that wave. OK, so should we get a ring on this? Now, I've never done this before.
Yeah,
so
that's
you're
all
gonna
right. We'll
teach
talk
me.
you through it. So the first thing to do is we note down the number, and so then we can be able to write down in the book how old the bird is, because that's the kind of key piece of information.
And obviously, the whole point of doing this is hoping that you get a recapture, and that's how you get the data and the knowledge.
Exactly. So I've set the ring up in the pliers there for you.
OK, so I put it round.
Yeah.
I'm incredibly careful. My DIY skills are not the best.
There you go.
Oh, that's a horrible click sound.
It makes a horrible click.
Well, you are the first little bird that I've put a ring on, so thank you. Little sanderling. In you go.
51.2.
As the Wash Wader ringing group are busy processing the birds,
51.4.
I'm back with Nigel to understand just why all this research is so vital. Are they doing all right this year?
They're doing well this year, and there are lots of juveniles. They've had a good breeding season, and they're in lovely condition. For an October day, it's amazing.
It really is, isn't it?
50.2.
5 to 10, plumage 1.
It's been a very successful morning for the team. But these waders need to get back to the beach.
And who knows what we're going to learn in the future as all this data is collected. Right, little sandlings. Let's see what we learn from you. Time for release. Hello and welcome to Autumnwatch 2021. Now, I think we all have times when we want to run away from the chaos and escape to the beauty of the natural world to bring us calm and peace. But it's not always easy to do that. So we've done it for you. We've sent some of our best natural history filmmakers to film the wildlife on their local patch. Now, this is an immersive experience, so sit back and enjoy it. There's no music, no commentary, just natural wonder.